The Architecture of Care. The Relationship Blueprint. Book 3. Written and narrated by Santiago Machain. Chapter 1. The Journey So Far, Celebrating Progress. Mastery rarely arrives with a fanfare. It comes quietly, after many long evenings, false starts, and course corrections that only make sense in retrospect. Yet to move into mastery and shape a legacy, you must learn to pause and recognize what has brought you here. This chapter is an invitation to take stock, honestly, attentively, and with appreciation, of the road behind you. By celebrating progress with precision, you establish the mental habit of integration. You don't merely rush onward, you consolidate gains, convert experience into wisdom, and build the emotional stamina necessary for what comes next. Before we look forward, we must look back with clarity. Celebration is not self-congratulation, it is the discipline of recognition. It is the act of naming the truth of your trajectory. Too many ambitious professionals undervalue this stage because they think it will slow them down. In reality, a thoughtful celebration tightens the feedback loop between action and improvement. It gives you data, strengthens your identity, and renews your energy. When you study your own growth, you sharpen your judgment. When you honor your effort, you protect your momentum. When you articulate what worked, you encode it more deeply. To do this well, you need a structure that balances narrative with evidence. You will benefit from crafting a personal progress ledger, an organized set of reflections that catalogs wins, lessons, and evolutions in your standards. Think of it as a repository of compound learning. In practice, your ledger can be a document, a notebook, or a simple database. What matters is consistency and sincerity. The quality of your insights should outweigh the quantity of your entries. Begin with a question that reveals direction. Who were you when you started, and who are you now? Set aside the platitudes and consider specific dimensions like decision speed, tolerance for uncertainty, communication nuance, strategic horizon, and emotional regulation under pressure. If, for instance, you once reacted quickly to urgency but now respond deliberately to importance, that is not merely maturity, it is an operational shift with compounding advantages. Identify these shifts carefully. They are proof that your practice is working. Next, translate stories into evidence. Narrative without data is soft, data without narrative is brittle. Together, they form conviction. You might recall a product launch that was months behind schedule. Your narrative could speak to the interpersonal complexities and the inflection point when you changed the stack-ranked priorities. Your data might include the revised time to value, the defect rate trend, and the adoption curve. Both angles matter. The story carries meaning, the evidence carries weight. When you routinely pair the two, you train yourself to see patterns that your future self can trust. It also helps to examine progress across multiple horizons. On the micro level, consider your daily behaviors, the routines that anchor your mornings, the way you prepare for difficult conversations, the checklists you refine for recurring tasks. On the meso level, evaluate projects and initiatives, your role clarity, your metrics, the velocity of iteration, and the caliber of cross-functional collaboration. On the macro level, assess your direction, whether your project portfolio reflects your long-term narrative, whether your work increasingly aligns with your core strengths, and whether your choices reinforce the identity you're building. These lenses keep you from mistaking busy for better. Even as you collect evidence, make room for appreciation. Gratitude is not an indulgence, it is a performance tool. Sustained excellence requires positive affect as fuel. When you name what you're grateful for, the teammate who challenged your assumptions respectfully, the mentor who nudged you toward a bolder path, the competitor who forced you to raise your standard, you reduce threat sensitivity and broaden your field of view. You become more resourceful. You make fewer fear-based decisions. And you create an atmosphere where others can operate at
Sample complete. Ready to continue?